We're here at the Muskoka Wharf in Gravenhurst, viewers, and getting a somewhat panoramic view of the Seguin and her sister ship Winona II. They'll shortly be getting ready for some late spring, early summer runs, I expect. That little house on top of the Seguin, of course, is a winter protective device. One of the new features of the spring tour this year is the Muskoka Sea Flea organization. It's housed in a building on the wharf here, and from the photo you can see there's quite a significant interest in these boats. There's really been a resurgence, I would say, in sea flea interest. Obviously we're not looking at one here, but let's go inside and see what the boys are working on. Here we have Lauren, Caitlin, and Michael working on what looks to be an 8-foot sea flea. I've heard from a number of sources that you can probably build a sea flea in a weekend or two if you put your mind to it and have the right tools and the wood available and are ready to go. Little small race boats are a wonderful project for the younger generation because they're fairly easy to construct, and a mistake probably won't cost thousands of dollars the way it might if you were working on an antique mahogany classic. Obviously having a lot of fun. Next stop on our spring tour, viewers, is a look at Tim Butson, Wooden Boat Builders activities. Tim says he does traditional wooden boats, design, custom building, restorations, repairs, refinishing. Whatever it takes to float your boat. Let's peek inside. Viewers, we're looking here at a 1959 22-foot Shepherd. And the caption says, guess what's been done to her? Well, it's reasonably obviously, I think. New transom, certainly the bottom 4 or 5 planks. And some side planking. And my guess would be a new bottom as well. Perfect example of a big, high freeboard, beamy Shepherd. A lot of work to go yet. I have a feeling Susabel here, obviously an inboard-outboard. I'm pretty sure this boat's going to be a Greavette Sunflash. Greavette made quite a few Sunflashes, and there are still quite a number of them on the lakes. They seem like quite a versatile boat. Of course, being wood, they do require regular maintenance and inspection, but I think many of the Sunflashes, if I remember correctly, were built in, I think, the mid-60s, or perhaps early 60s to the early 70s. Tim has a very substantial shop here with 3 or 4 different working areas. Tim's shop is also famous for his wonderful butter tarts. I'm not sure where they come from, but they're wonderful. A new build here. Obviously going to be powered by a 6.2 Scorpion engine, 377. We've featured this boat, I think, in an earlier stage of construction, viewers, in one of our previous videos. If I could name this boat, I think I'd call it Hell on Wheels. Or Hell on the Water, I guess, would be more appropriate. That's quite the Chevy engine. These beautiful custom-made seats, the curved backs. That's an art in itself. At first blush, I would have thought this boat was a Seabird or a Duke, but apparently it's a 1949 21-foot Greavette, owned by the same family since new and used on the French River. It says she was repowered by Butson's a few years ago and now known as the French River Hot Rod. Island 52 French River. I'm not surprised she's called the French River hot rod. Look at the size of that engine for a boat of this beam and length. Must fly like a rocket. I guess she's in for some interior work and perhaps a revarnishing. This 18-foot 1939 Billy Johnson looks like she's had some rudder restoration. That's a very interesting configuration. New varnish work on her, and obviously she's been repowered too. It certainly is not a 1939 engine. Nice lines. Looks like she's approaching the finishing stages. And it looks suspiciously like a new bottom in this boat too. Great little runabout. Viewers, we're here at Stan Hunter's workshop on this beautiful spring morning. Stands in Milford Bay between Port Carling, south of Port Carling and north of Bracebridge. Spring is certainly in the air. Stan has uncovered a number of his boats. I think he's even got a Duke, one of his Duke launch livery boats in the water. Here we're looking at a cute little seabird, probably a 17-footer. Four-cylinder engine. Obviously in for something. Cute little runabout. Water levels are high again this spring in Muskoka. We had a ton of snow this past year. Town docks in Huntsville are flooded, but we're not seeing quite the extremes that we saw a year or two ago. Thank goodness, where we had significant property damage. A couple of charming runabouts here. Triple cockpit here. Minus the steering wheel. Waiting for their turn. Looks like a Greavette Streamliner. Very strong smell of varnish here. I have a feeling Stan's been doing a varnish job on this one. It's a lovely layout on these Greavette Streamliners. The way the seat wraps around the engine or vice versa. Very practical seating configuration. It provides stern to bow access for all the passengers and the crew and captain. These boats are becoming increasingly rare and increasingly expensive. This one's been repowered by the look of it. A beautiful example of a streamliner. If I'm correct, I think we've got another Greavette Sunflash here. In for some side planking. And probably some other repairs as well. Quite racy and fast, I believe these Sunflashes are. Next stop on our tour of yours is Duke's in Port Carling here. As you can see, they've had some flooding. As I say, not as severe as 2 years ago. Ice is off the lakes now. the rivers. I'm just panning around toward the Port Carling docks here. Jeremy Fowler's staff has been working through the winter, as I understand, and the second floor is open, even though the first is a little on the damp side. Let's go up and see what's going on here. It's a bit dark, viewers, but I think you can see Illawarra 3 here. Beautiful triple cockpit. And I have a feeling she's soaking up. Good idea, of course, to keep a boat on straps until the hull planks have tightened and swelled. I'm sure more than one wooden boat owner has unknowingly launched his boat in the spring and had it either sink or take on quite a little water before it's soaked up. Great boat. Triple cockpit here in Jeremy Fowler's Duke Boat Workshop. Certainly looks like a wooden replacement steering wheel. Lovely. Not quite ready for a soak up yet. A couple of boats in Jeremy's shop, viewers, include, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this one, On Clyde 3, I believe. Long deck launch, looks like 1920s. Beautiful old boat. I know I keep repeating that word beautiful, but they really are gorgeous, these old launches. Another long deck. And just across we have a more modest but very functional Duke Playmate. Very nice. New varnish work on this one. Looks like new upholstery too. In the far corner here, this is a Delcraft 6-cylinder engine. Quite a beamy runabout. Fairview Island. You may be able to tell, viewers, but this shop has been in existence, I believe, for about 100 years or close to it. Changed ownerships for several times, but you can really feel the history here. Unless I'm mistaken, this is another Greavette Sunflash, but I may be wrong. Let's check this one out. Oh, I'm incorrect. I believe it's a Shepherd. Great finish on it. Our final stop on the tour, viewers, is at Tom Adams' workshop, also in Port Carling, on the outskirts. Now this one I think I did get right. It's a Greavette, and I'm positive it's a Sunflash. Looks like she's powered by the original 165 horsepower Mercruiser engine. And obviously in for some work of some sort. Looks like they're just starting to strip her down.
It's like $100 a board foot or every board.
$60 an hour. If the guy's there 4 hours, $240. The guy did all my time there.
Yeah, that's the way to do that.
Very pronounced bow and sharp raked angle on the stem. I'm sure that cuts through the water very well. Here we have Rita again, viewers. We featured Rita on our last winter workshop tour here in Port Carling. And what do you know, the holes are still in the hull here. So So obviously not too much has happened at this section of the boat. Let's go topsides and see what's been going on up there. Now I know this is at least a project of at least 1 year's duration, so we can't expect instantaneous results. I have a feeling we're going to have to wait a little while longer to see a whole lot of progress on Rita. All 40 or 50 feet of her, 50 feet. If you missed our last video of Rita, she's a 1914 Minett, and putting a new bottom on her and rebuilding the engine. Matt Fairbrass, who's a really outstanding marine mechanic here in Muskoka, Matt's going to be doing the rebuild on the engine. I'll take you up one more time in case you didn't see our last video. Looking toward the stern.
You're using, well, because
this is Bella Vista, the third, I believe, 1928 Minett. And obviously they've been doing some sanding for deck varnishing. Engine's still not back in her yet. Bottom's looking pretty solid at this point. It's going to be a very smooth riding launch for sure.